still watching Prime Morning, and it's time for us to speak to the youth. They have a lot to say with regards to the economy. Now, most people feel that the youth, they are the future generation. For the youth, they feel they are the future, or they are the current. Which is which? I have them right here in the studio. I have two of them right here in the studio, and I have two joining us via Zoom. Yesterday, the president did address the nation. They'll tell us their thoughts about it. Not just that, they'll also tell us their thoughts about what the ex-president John Mahama did say when he spoke to the nation as well. I don't know what their take is with regards to these, but definitely they'll tell us, and they'll definitely answer if they think we should let them go for the youth to take over. My guests in the studio today, two great personalities, I must say. I'm excited to have with me Julius Kwame Anthony. He is the immediate past NUC's General Secretary. Welcome, Julius.
Thank you very much.
How are you today?
Very good.
You were here last week and you spoke so well. We got a lot of compliments coming your way.
Thank you.
Today, I don't know what you're going to say, but we can't wait to hear what you have to say. I also have Helen Jabing here. She's a student nurse and the former secretary for the nurses and midwifery students at the University of Ghana. Welcome, Helen.
Thank you.
How are you too?
I'm fine.
Okay, first of all, I'll have to ask you if you listened to both ex-president and president speeches.
Yes, I did.
You listen to all.
Yeah.
So if I ask you anything with regards to it, you can answer. Let me ask you, Helen, what your take with regards to what ex-president Mahama spoke about is.
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I think that the ex-president's speech was a step in the right direction because Ghana is in crisis. Everybody knows that. It's not something that we should be shying away from. Everybody have accepted that Ghana is in crisis, and the Ghanaian people were expecting somebody up there, you know, to come talk to them. It's just like you are going through something and you want to know if someone else relates with what you're going through. So the ex-president's speech is just like coming to the Ghanaian, the ordinary Ghanaian, and telling you that, hey, I know what you're going through, I understand, I relate with you, that, you know, things are hard, and these are the reasons why I think that things are hard, and these are the pragmatic steps we can take to, you know, curb the situation. So I think that it is a step in the right direction.
Julius, what about you?
Yeah, I think so too, that it was necessary that he spoke up and you know, bring some respect to the people, because he has a large following. I think the second largest after the president, if election results are anything to go by. So it's just good that he comes and addresses the Ghanaian public and speak to them. However, I have few reservations about some of the things.
Go ahead, talk to us about it.
I like the fact that he, just like the president, reiterated that the military should stay loyal, you know, to the republic. Because one would expect that ordinarily he would be against the president and want a disgraceful exit for him, but that was statesmanly. However, there are some fundamental issues that the former president left out, including the kind of expenditures we were making that brought us to this level. Let's talk about free SHS, teacher training allowances, NAPCO, and some of those consumption expenditures that are not investment ventures. I felt that the former president should have touched on it and spoke about how, you know, free SHS could have been implemented to seek, you know, to achieve the same objective of inclusive education without necessarily spending too much on it. The kind of wholesale implementation where nothing, you know, comes from even those who could afford it and all that, to cushion those who cannot afford it, and the state gets to sponsor everything. I think he should have said something about that. That would also contribute to reducing the government expenditure problems. I think he should have spoken about teacher and nursing training allowance and the relevance of it at this time, if we should still be paying those allowances, because tested scenarios in the universities prove that you don't necessarily need to give allowances to everybody, because there are students who also need financial need in the universities, but they apply for scholarships and all that. We could have brought a module that people would apply. There is an assumption that if you make it a scholarship, everybody would apply and blah, blah, blah. It's not true, because the cases are there to prove to us that not everybody rush to University of Ghana, you know, financial aid office to seek scholarship, even if they don't need it. So we should have touched on some of those things to reduce the expenditure, but I didn't hear that from the former president, and I felt a bit disappointed that he didn't touch those areas. Those are expenditure areas that we should be talking about. It should be reduced. Yeah.
Right. Talking about that, let's also take what your opinion on the president's speech. Helen, I'll start with you.
President's speech, okay, I'll talk about that. He came out to talk to us. It was worth it. I mean, Ghanaians were expecting him to come talk, so it was just good that he spoke. Then one thing I like about his speech is the fact that he accepted that we're in crisis. I mean, problem identification is the first step in problem solving, and so if he accepts that we are in crisis, then that is a good step. But what I didn't see in his submission is the solutions to the problem, pragmatic solutions. I mean, Ghanaian people are not waiting for what you've done in the past or your past glories. Currently, we are having the situation at hand and we need to solve that. And it wasn't about coming to tell us that, okay, you did this, you did that, you did that, you did that. Right now we have a problem. What are you doing about it? What is the step forward? Like, how are we solving this?
He did talk about reducing of importation. He did talk about, you know, putting more dollars, pumping more dollars into the system. He did talk about trying to curb the black market. He pleaded with Ghanaians not to hike prices. Is that or not enough?
Great. Those are very good solutions. But what's the time frame? I mean, people are in crisis urgently. People need help. So telling me all this, what are this? So right after his speech, I spoke to one of my friends and I was like, okay, so what the president said, what do you think about it? She just told me that, has it stopped oil from going up? Has that speech changed anything?
But we are talking about speeches, and we are saying that it's right that they come speak to us in these difficult times. This is what we need. We needed to hear him speak. Of course, it's going to take time for it to manifest. Is that not what we need?
Exactly.
Because
what
of course, he speaking is not going to reduce prices now. It's a gradual process, or you don't agree?
I agree with that. Objectives have time frames. So if you're presenting us with solutions, we should be seeing that there is a time frame attached to how urgent our solutions are going to come.
He mentioned 2028.
And that's so much.
Like, personally, the 2028 was the part where I got very frustrated about the president. Because, sincerely, we gave you a mandate from 2016, renewed it in 2020 to expire in 2024. What did you do with that mandate? In 6 years, this president increased our debt in relation to our GDP to 105%. By the end of December, that's what where we are going to be. When it was only 55% of GDP at the time you were handed over to. This president alone added about 422 billion.
What he said, wait, so what he said didn't really say that things are going to get better only in 2028.
No, not, yes, I get that.
Yes,
but
because the measures that they've put in place, by December, we should start, you know, getting better.
I get that bit, yes. Rosalind, but here's the fact, okay? You had 6 years, and if projecting into the future, better fiscal conditions are your objective that you seek to achieve or is part of your vision, 6 years, you shouldn't be the one who ran the things into the ground, then now give excuses and now tell us that beyond your tenure, we are going to get to a place where we were before you came. What was the reason for Ghanaians putting President Akufo Addo in power? It was to ensure that he makes things better for us. Now you run it down and now promise us that beyond your tenure, you project that things would get better for us. You block spending spaces for other governments because of the situation we are in, our government is unable to spend on healthcare and a whole lot of other things because all our domestic revenue, including fees you pay when you go and make passports, fees you pay at the hospital, all those things go into paying our domestic debts alone. Because they are more than 200% of our domestic debts, the debts we owe. What we get from here is less than that. So we need to pay 3 times to get that. So when does the president expect that other governments are going to recover from these debts such that by 2028, they are at a fiscal position that our debt to GDP ratio is 50%. So you don't create problems
but it's a
and now pretend
process,
as
isn't it?
It is.
Because what we have gotten to, we can't pretend that we close our eyes, wake up, and things are normal again.
Definitely, but this president has lost every right to make projections into a future.
Why do you
he
say
doesn't
this?
have, because we gave him a tenure which will expire in 2 years, and in 6 years you run things down and now tell us that beyond your tenure you project that things are going to be better. How about when you took over from 2016 with the fiscal conditions you got? Why didn't you run things better so that our debt to GDP position would have reduced as it is now? But you are telling us that in 2028. So I began wondering, It's okay for a president to project into the future because vision is part of leadership. But looking at your record, does the president even intend, beyond the economic atrocities that have been committed, to stay in office till 2028? Because if it's a different president that is going to carry on from 2024, then this president's projection should be about the things he's going to do to take us out of crisis. Why is he talking about 2028? How does he even intend to achieve it? When Cocoa Board is in debt, government owes contractors, all these things. When are we going to clear those debts and ensure we are maintaining some fiscal discipline to ensure that our expenditures do not drive us to that level? So this president has lost the locus to speak on that. And extending the conversation to blame traders in the market, I was livid. How do you blame traders in the market for increasing prices of things and saying that they are profiteering? Godly, traders cannot profiteer in this situation, and let me tell you why. The reason why they can't profiteer is that if the president's claim that we are not suffering from food shortage is true, perishable goods, for example, like banana, like tomatoes, their prices shouldn't go up, because out of fear that if we don't sell them, the things would get bad. Traders would dispose them off at cheaper prices. But they are the ones that go up more than anything, which means that the combined effect of scarcity and the cost of other goods and services like fuel and all those things that affect the traders and their own livelihood has been attached to the prices they give to things. And because there's the market for it, people still buy it anyway. That is why the inflation keeps going up for food prices and all that. So the president shouldn't say that traders are profiteering and all. If traders were truly profiteering, we would have seen it reflect in perishable goods. People wouldn't buy them because they have options. There's high production, as the president claimed that Greek minister is doing well. So the president should stop blaming people who contribute little to the problem. The problem
but we
is because
we do contribute to the problem, I must say. If you go purchase a good at a certain price and you increase it over 100% and retail it, you are really, trying to cause a lot of problems.
Why would I increase the price of tomatoes I got from Kumasi and brought to Accra by 100%? One, by the time I'm transporting, I got news that petrol prices have gone up, and in 3 days they will increase fuel prices by 40%. I'll adjust my price to reflect next time when I'm going the cost I'll incur so that I can stay in the market. So I would have to increase it by that margin to stay in business. That is what is happening. So government should have announced yesterday that our extra revenues that we are getting from oil, the crude we sell, because of the increase in crude prices in the world, our extra revenues we are getting, we are going to use it to cushion, fuel prices, so that traders can now have, a free market to operate where they wouldn't need to increase things exorbitantly. Blaming them is just foul. Traders don't deliberately just increase prices. Even if they do, the conditions that contribute to them doing it enables it. Take away those conditions and they wouldn't exist. If we have excess production in agriculture like the president claims, those situations wouldn't exist. That is the reality. And then blaming forest bureaus and all these things. Forest bureaus contribute less than 5% of the problem. How many exchanges go on in there? The real problem to the CD depreciation is because we have lost our reserve.
We'll talk about the Forex Bureau. Let me bring Helen in if Helen has something to say with regards to what we are discussing now. I think we have been joined on Zoom. Hello? If my Zoom people can hear me, can you give me a wave, please? Okay. Give me a wave. Okay, so you have to unmute yourself for me, please. Okay, yes, so all right, Malvin and Frances, welcome.
Thank you.
All right, so Marvin, you are a graduate, and so you'll be speaking on behalf of the graduates, and also Frances Enini, you are also a graduate.
Yes.
Okay,
sure.
Let me start with Marvin. Marvin, with regards to the speech that ex-President Mahama delivered to the people, what is your take on it?
Seems have the solutions to all the problems we are talking about, and yet nothing has been done until now.
Marvin, can you hear me?
It seems I'm having some problems in my communication.
Yeah, there is some problems in there. So let me come back to you. Is Frances ready though, so I can speak to Frances? Okay, Frances, kindly unmute for me.
I'm on.
Okay, great.
I can hear you.
Okay, fantastic. Now, I would like to take your opinion on the speech that ex-President Mahama delivered on Thursday. Sorry.
Okay. For me, in regards to the good morning to all your viewers, and thanks for hosting me as well on the show. I would say that for the president, the former ex-president, his speech that was given a few days ago was actually what people wanted to hear from the current president. That is the roadmap moving forward. What's the way forward? How are we going to come out of the situation that Ghana is currently facing? Because actually, realistically speaking, indeed, his mantra is pushing us to accept, even go beyond what he's saying, or that's Ghana beyond aid. We are indeed beyond the aid we need right now. Mahama's speech, His Excellency's speech, was extremely good. If you listen to his speech clearly, he stated out all the reasons what the country is facing right now and how we can go about it, and how we can, at least that is for he made mention of the reduction in imports to promote more of our exports stuff. He made mention of, I think, key roles, and taking most of his speech as comparing to the president's speech, His Excellency Nana Akufo Addo. I think Ghanaians are now wondering who is actually the president. Is it John Dramani Mahama or it's Akufo Addo? Because what the president stated just yesterday was nothing of an expectation. It is what Ghanaians are not even interested. We weren't even ready for that. We were expecting something even more from the president yesterday, and Mahama really outlined what we need right now to listen to, considering the conditions of people right now.
What exactly did he say that you think can help fix the problem? Hello, Frances. All right, let me come back to the studio. Helen, you were about to make a submission and I had to go on soon.
Okay, so I totally agree with everything that Julius said, because the part of profiteering by the traders, I mean, I go in to buy something today and it's 10 cedis. Then by the time I'm coming to the market, I realize that now it's sold at a where I pick it from is sold at 15 cedis, and transportation is not part of it. So then I'm coming to sell it. Should I sell it at 12 cedis I usually sell it at? How then do I go back to get the same thing the next time I want to stay in business?
It's not about that. It's about, over increasing. So the issue here has nothing to do with, or you're putting up a profit of probably like a 5% or a 10%, projecting into the future that there'll be hikes in fuel, stuff like that. It's going over 100%. That's where the issue is. Because I have seen, there was a post on social media where somebody went to buy oil. The oil was about 400 cedis. The person was selling it at 900 cedis. Yes, wholesale 400, retail 900, and you ask yourself why. And this is why people are complaining, where prices of corn haven't been inflated. However, you are buying banku and you are buying it at there are other factors.
Exactly. It's not just the corn. The corn alone doesn't make banku. They have to transport it. And if fuel prices are high and transportation is high, then it's going to affect that. So,
and if I'm selling banku and then I have people who come to cook it for me, people who serve it in the restaurant, and then people who wash the plates and all that.
Increase your price,
all of them. I'm coming to that. All of them, their salaries are because of the banku production. And if cost of everything in town has gone astronomically high, their transportation and all that, they will be demanding increase in salaries from me. Why do I factor it? I would have to factor it on what they are producing. That is the banku. So the cost of things goes beyond even just fuel and all that. It goes to the fact that the dependence on that production process, salary payments, all those things will factor into it. So blaming traders in the market for this thing, yes, it's a no-no. We can blame them to some extent, but it's less than 1% of the problem we are facing. The fundamental problem is the failure of the president to address the fiscal challenges. Yeah.
You are going to talk about the forex bureaus.
Yeah, the forex bureaus. I was saying that the exchanges that happen in Ghana, the forex bureaus contribute less than 5%. You can check the statistics. So they are not the problem. The problem we have is because we have lost our reserve. The dollar inflow is not coming. So Ken Ofori-Atta is unable to spend. That is a fundamental
what about
problem.
The black market?
So the black markets contribute. That is what I'm saying. They contribute little. You can verify the statistics. So the problem is not them. So gathering them as a solution is not there.
So what are the
they may have a problem.
You said it's what, 5%?
It's less than. You
less
can verify.
than 5%.
Of the transactions that go in, less than. You can verify. So Ken Ofori-Atta and President Akufo Addo blaming them for this. It's like you have a headache and then you have a pimple. And then you think that the pimple is a problem, but the headache is not. How do you say that? That is the problem.
But if
that is how the president is saying.
is hiking the prices, of course it will go up.
The black market is not hiking the prices. If dollar increases, where do we see the first indications? We see the first indications from institutionalized banks, the Bank of Ghana and major banks in the country. They first give the signal. Before, the black market people put some increase on it. If you estimate the difference that is usually on it, if the bank rate is about 14 cedis, then you see them doing 15 cedis. How do you blame this as the cause of the dollar rising and saying that you can't pay the day? I was surprised yesterday that the president was, singing Fraud Boys chorus. That's what Fraud Boys usually say, scam pay the day and all that. I don't know if the president is confirming the fact that he has been scamming us or something.
Oh, no.
Because,
no. That please, no.
Because
please don't. I retract it, I beg. Kindly retract it. Kindly retract it.
Well, I am not in any way suggesting the president is a fraud boy.
Yeah, but
I am saying that we do not expect.
Yeah, you just retract it.
That he will be sounding like he is coming us, and I really didn't expect to hear that from him, because Sikam pay the day noise. How does noise contribute to inflation?
Well, let me go back on Zoom and speak with Marvin. Hello, Marvin.
Hello.
Yes, you were making a point.
Yes, so based on the question you asked me, okay, the former president came to speak to the nation. He spoke about solutions. He spoke about debt restructuring. He spoke about a lot of things. And then the current president comes to talk to us. He states the problems. He doesn't explain. You talk about reducing our debt to about 55%, but you don't explain. Even if it was a social studies paper, it would be state and explain. But you just come and state problems, you state solutions, and it appears you had the solutions. So if you had the solutions, then what were you doing all this time? Were you actually just waiting for things to get out of hand, for things to spiral out of control, before you come and attempt to calm the nerves of Ghanaians? Things are out of control, and the truth is there. No matter what, it's not going to get easier. It's going to get hard. Whether we leave the problem or we attempt to solve the problem, it's going to get hard, because we would have to contract the economy if we want to solve this problem. And it's going to get hard. So, yes, you can come and give confidence to the people, but don't try to massage everything. And this is what has been happening throughout the years. Our leaders come and give us massaged figures. They come and say things to make it look like everything is rosy. GDP that we are not even benefiting from. GDP that is going to other countries. Come on. You can't. Ghanaians are not lazy. Ghanaians are never lazy. But then you see a lot of the youth going into fraud. And why is that? Because they've lost confidence in leadership. They've lost confidence in the economy. People go to university, they go and learn economics, finance, accounting, and they are supposed to use it towards the development of the nation. But someone is somewhere using the economics he has learned to find out strategies with which he can defraud a company somewhere in the US. Brain drain and loss of confidence. You have to bring back the confidence. How? You have to give solutions. And when you give the solutions, you don't just say it, you do it. We import too much. Food imports alone, too much. Can't we produce? A very good policy was one district, one factory. It was a very good policy. What happened to it? The leadership was bad, the management was worse, and output was even worse. There are so many things we could have done about the problem to have kept it from reaching where it is now. And you don't just come now to come and talk like you have the solutions. If you had the solutions, then what were you doing all this while? We are not fools. The youth, we are not fools. We see everything.
Okay, Marvin.
NSS is still 559.
Marvin, I'll come back to you. It's good you're on Zoom and not in the studio because your shots you're firing this morning, I don't know. Helen, it looks like everybody seems to, agree with what ex-President Mahama did say with regards to his speech. It looks like, again, people are saying that, except you. You said some points he didn't make. I'll come back to you. But it seems when people are in opposition, they have solutions to problems. Do you agree?
Well, to some extent, I agree with you because in opposition, you can see better. I mean, in a better perspective, not from the point of I am doing what I'm doing. If it's you doing something, it's more difficult to see the problems attached to it. So at the background, you're able to view in a better perspective. And so I think that contributes to the fact that in opposition, people have solutions. But I mean, this is our country. We are supposed to be tackling problems, not playing politics with the lives of Ghanaians. The ordinary Ghanaian who is not a politician needs to be comfortable in his country. And so it shouldn't be about I am in opposition, I am not in opposition, and so I shouldn't be taking advice or I shouldn't be taking solutions from people who are viewing from a better perspective, probably because they're not the ones doing it. And so if solutions are coming from someone in opposition, what prevents the government from taking it? If that is what is going to help our country, if that is what is going to make the livelihoods of the ordinary Ghanaian comfortable. I mean, what's the point in saying that
former President Mahama gave some solutions that will fix the problem?
He did give.
Which one exactly do you think can fix the problem?
A lot, all of them.
Okay.
He spoke about suspension of non-essential projects like the health facility 111, National Cathedral. Like at this point, we don't need all of that.
Were you expecting the president to say same?
Exactly. So if you are hearing him saying all this,
we don't need the hospitals?
We do need the hospitals, but at this time, do we need 111 hospitals? I mean, they started some projects that have not been ended. Why not pump that fund into completing those ones rather? Do we have to start everything from the scratch just so I take the name that when I came I did this and that, when it is not at the point where we are in need relevant for us? And so I think that we should prioritize. I mean, things come up that we have to do, but prioritization is very, very important.
What
even at this
exactly
time
do you think we need?
Okay, so at this point when Ghanaians are suffering, we need our city to gain the value.
So you choose the city gaining value over hospitals, right?
I mean,
over healthcare.
Healthcare.
When the city has
there are hospitals already.
Do we have enough?
Enough to take care of us as of now. So if the CD is okay and everybody is comfortable at a point where can you even think about the effects that all the socioeconomic problems are having on the health of people?
We have enough hospitals in Accra. Have you thought of the other regions?
The other regions, at least they are CHIPS zones. They're taking care of themselves. They're better for now.
Is that what they said?
Is that what
they said? The other regions? Did they say
they need it? They need it, but at this point, do they need the hospitals to be built from scratch more than, I mean, even refurbishing the ones that we already have, equipping the CHIP zones to even do more, it's better, because at this point, building a hospital from the scratch is not what we need. That is the truth. That's not what we need at this point.
You think that we need?
Yes, so
might be somebody's need.
That is somebody's need. There is a better way to solve it and still, prioritize the needs that are very, very important at the point.
All right. I'll come back to you with regards to our needs, Helen. And let me come to Julius. His lips are itching.
Yeah. On the issue of hospitals, to corroborate what Helen said, a doctor posted on Twitter at that time that his greatest challenge now is even prescribing the medicines. Because you prescribe medicine to people and tell them to take it after one after breakfast, one after lunch, one after supper, and the people clearly can't afford 3 square meals. How are they going to take the medicine? And some of them, you make their prescriptions and they can't afford the medicine. How are they going to take it? So you see, bad economy, bad value of CD, and all those things has more impact on people's healthcare than you building hospitals, especially when there are hospitals you could improve upon. This president came to meet some uncompleted hospital projects, including Afara Military Hospital in the Ashanti region. Up till now, he's yet to open it. The equipments that were bought for that hospital are in the open. rainwater falling on them all the time. Then he goes start something else, says Agenda 111, he's building from scratch. No one is condemning the building of hospitals. If we have a sustainable economy, the president could build Agenda 1001. We don't mind. But where people can't afford 3 square meals and you are promising them hospitals, it just doesn't make sense. Worse, you are promising them cathedrals. And the president didn't have the decency to tell Ghanaians yesterday that, see, this national cathedral thing, I'm stopping it. I'm cutting the size of my government to reduce expenditure. I was livid.
Well, we had a cut of the salaries,
on
right?
their salaries. It's insignificant if you maintain huge, number of ministers and then you take 30% from the monies when you could completely cut them off.
How many do you want?
China has less than 30 ministers. The United States, a similar number. Do you know their population? China almost 1.4 billion. The United States, 360 million people plus. Ghana, 30 million. And we have 100 plus ministers. Jesus Christ. And this president said that because of the workload that he has to do. And 6 years, he has been unable to demonstrate to us that these ministers could deliver on it. So we need less than even 20. If he can do that for us, he should do it for us. So
you need less than 20?
Yes, we need less than even 20 if the president can do that for us. Because what do? Show me what the ministers do. The technical directors and the staffs at the ministries, they are the ones who do the real jobs. The ministers are to give administrative directions. They are supposed to provide strategic leadership, what we want to achieve. The people who execute are not the ministers. So why do you need so many of them to be able to deliver on your mandate? And I was livid and shocked when the president still says that he wants to cap and realign some statutory expenditures. Do you know what this president has been doing? If your MPs have not been performing recently, blame the president, because the district assembly's common fund, which they usually disburse for some of these things, scholarships and all these things they do in the districts, are blocked by the president.
How?
Because he has realigned those expenditures, and the whole of this year, the MPs did not get the common fund. None of them got it. So the president is still saying that he is going to realign some statutory expenditures, which may include NHIL, National Health Insurance Levy, and all those things. He may realign them to other areas again. The president is just not committed to things that are regulatory. Okay, make these expenses here, get fund. This is the amount get fund is supposed to get. Spend it on education. The president doesn't want to do that though. He has his own mindset about everything, and it has not been working. Now you are saying you want to realign more statutory expenditures. The ones you have done already have proven that they are crippling the country. MPs are struggling now. Seriously, I don't envy MPs in this period because of these president's decisions. Even the common fund that they used to do, the small things in their constituencies, they are not getting it.
How come they are not complaining? Are you the one to complain?
The MPs are complaining. Why shouldn't I complain on their behalf? If I have responsibility, if I have expectations for my MP.
If the MP is doing his work,
they are not. They are not. My MPs are complaining. Even MPP MPs are complaining. They are complaining.
But we haven't seen them.
I have seen a lot of them complaining. You can verify. Even if you Google, MPs are complaining about the common.
Let me go back on Zoom. Marvin. Okay, Frances is on. All right, Frances.
Hello.
All right, Marvin, I'll come back to you. Let me speak to Frances. Hello, Frances.
Hello.
All right.
Yes, I'm online.
Do you think that the former president did speak a little bit too early as compared to the president speaking? Should he have waited for the president to speak before?
Okay, thank you. I don't think he should have waited for the president to speak. After all, it's about solving the problem that's associated with the current state of the economy. It's not about who comes first or who comes last or who say it early or who say it later. It's about who is making the right submission for us to take forward and implement and help curb the situation that is happening currently. So it's not necessarily about who is last or who is first. After all, even if the president had stated or had his speech first before His Excellency Mahama, I mean, it wouldn't have made any difference, because all these measures would have at least should be taken into consideration so that we can move forward. Because the crisis now, it's serious, it's exhausting. And like Helen rightly said, you can't be requiring me to put in a structure of national cathedral and others when they are pending or important issues. There's something we have in healthcare that we usually say, primary need first. You can't be giving me para for cancer treatment. You have to solve the most important thing first, and that is what we should be looking at. You can't be looking at building national cathedral and others whilst we are hungry. You can't be building hospital whilst the city is inflicting. How will these same people be able to go to hospitals and pay for their health care? How are they going to do that?
Frances, what exactly would you have loved to hear the president say yesterday?
I would have loved, in fact, everything the president said yesterday was said some part of February, early part of this year, was said. February, March, what said. Nothing the president said he has not said or was not said before. And we have not seen any improvement. Rather, we have seen things drastically improving time and again. I would have loved the president to, like Julius rightly said, speak about. I mean, even the pending issues about his finance minister wasn't even touched, wasn't even spoken about. I mean, these are things we were ready to hear. We have issues. We are having issues about the finance minister, of which his own mates or his own honorables are saying that we should push in for his resignation. The president never spoke about that. Rather, I heard the president speaking about bringing back about IMF and other things. Those are not the things we need to hear. What happened to the increase in the dollar each and every day? In fact, in some few days, petrol is going to increase. And he's even stating that in 2028, that is when we are going to see change. I mean, when you are out of power, that is when we are going to see change. Then we shouldn't have even brought you in power in the first place. Because you can't be telling me you make change when you are out of power. When I put you in power to make the change. What is he telling us? Like Marvin rightly said, the youth aren't. We are up there. We are up there. We know what is going on in this country. I mean, we are suffering. He should come to our aid and put out strategic measures in implementing steps that will change the nation. Not things like bring back the IMF. I mean, the whole of yesterday's structure of conversation was all about. There are more, we know, we understand that they are suffering, but there will be more suffering. That is how I saw it.
Okay, Francis. Let me go to Marvin. Marvin?
Hello.
Okay, Marvin, let me ask you this. I know you have expressed your disappointment in the speech, but what do you think we can do to survive these years? Of course, we as much as we want to say that things are better, we can't say it. Hopefully, until IMF comes to being, we need to embrace the new us, which is the new struggle. What can we do as citizens also to help this problem or to solve this problem?
All right. So, thank you. The whole point is anyone who has any basic understanding or probably some advanced understanding in economics would know that the exchange rate is not going to go down. It's going to stay there. The best it can do is to fluctuate or just go up. So right now, we should be thinking about how we can also increase the real wage of Ghanaians because stores are closing up. Let's say I'm an investor. You spoke to Ghanaians, you spoke to maybe the common trader. But how about investors? You see, and this is the whole point. The former president, from what he spoke, it also included investors. But the current president, what he said, did not include them. So I'm an investor. Per the current state of the economy, there is no way I can come and invest here. Private investment is actually pushing out. I don't know if you heard about what happened to Game. And stores too are closing. So think about increasing the real wage of people. Because now the value of things, the value of the money that people hold has fallen. And the minimum wage is 13 cedis, 53 pesos. It just increased by a cedi from last year to this year. 13 cedis. What exactly can you do with 13 cedis? Let's be frank. What exactly can 13 cedis buy you in this economy? But we are not talking about that. The incomes of people that has fallen, we are not talking about that. NSS has been at 559 for how many years now? And the youth have been pushing that this should be increased. No. COVID-19 is the narrative of the day. Russian-Ukraine war is the narrative of the day. But we shouldn't forget that there were grants given for COVID-19. There were relief grants. What did we do with it? What did we do with it? You would see massaged accounts and sweet talk. And our imports too. It's a very big problem. We have the lands. We can cultivate them. But what are we doing with them? You will go and find out that someone somewhere has signed a contract with a farm in US for his selfish gain. And we are importing. Well, we could have even used that money to produce here. So right now the solution is we should look within. It's not monetary policy. It's the central bank increased the interest rate. Why would I go and buy a Ghanaian bond if I know the Ghana cedi is depreciating? I seriously don't understand that. Because I even feel the government won't be able to pay me back that money. So why should I go and buy it? I'll be making a loss. So this doesn't mean we should disregard monetary policy too. But we should look within. That is the way to go about this.
Okay.
So cut down expenditures.
All right, it looks like, so this is what the youth want. This is what you want, the expenditure to be cut down. But let me correct you a little bit on the game shop.
And some of the ministers.
Oh, okay. All right, Frances.
I mean, like Anthony Julia said, especially the agri minister. I mean, consider that some of them. What is the change? What are the changes they are doing? Look at how inflation is rising day by day, and you tell us you can't pay like, I mean, how money doesn't like nuts.
All right,
that is not what you want to do.
I just want to do a little correction with regards to the game shops. The game shops are closing not just in Ghana. Looks like some African countries. It's about new management, so it's not just about our economic crisis. So I just wanted to correct that. Let me come to you, Julius. The youth, you feel you are supposed to take over. You feel you have solutions. What are the solutions that you have?
Yeah, I think that young people must begin to identify the situation we are in as a problem for us and not even for the president. So the better we work together, regardless of your affiliation, your tribe, wherever you come from, and think about our survival, the best for us. So when we talk about import substitution and all these things, they can't just happen overnight. Our generation doesn't like to hear about farm. But we need farming if we are going to do import substitution. Rice especially, we need to do that. We shouldn't be importing tomatoes to the tune of $3 million a year if we can produce it here in Ghana. So young people should look at these things as patriotic ventures they are going into to save the country. And on the side of government, I mean, if they can't help us, the best they can do for us is to just leave us alone.
How?
That's the best. They shouldn't take. They shouldn't. President Akufo Addo shouldn't have taken a job, knowing very well that in 6 years he will tell us that in another 6 years we will come back to where we were before he took the job. He shouldn't have taken it. He should have left it for someone, our generation, who should be promising us. A young person should be promising us that our situations will get better in 2018.
Do you think that our ministers are too old?
Yes, that is. I mean, I'm not trying to say old age is a problem in itself, but I don't know where the assumption that old people are the ones who are wise came from, because even if you trace our history as far back as pre-colonial times, executive leadership was never with old people. If you like, check the records and see the ages of Asante Hennes, Anglo Awomefiers and all these people who ruled in the past. 28 years, 32 years, maximum 50. That is what you would see. So I don't know where the idea that in Ghana old age means wisdom came from. It's a lie. It's something that came when we introduced multi-party democracy. So wisdom is also with young people. If not, all our kings in the past, then they were not wise.
Do you
because
think it would have been better
so,
if young people took over?
Yes, check the statistics. Emmanuel Macron in Finland, check all the statistics. Young people are leading these countries and they are doing very, very well. In the United States, Donald Trump was the oldest person to have ever been elected president. Before Biden came to break that record. They all do better than us.
Biden is doing well, isn't he?
Yes, he is doing well. That's a different old man anyway. Biden is doing well. He doesn't tell his people that, they are the ones causing prices to go up. When fuel prices were increasing in the United States, Biden reduced the price by applying the measures, the short measures that were put in place. Ghana, there are measures. So if you don't, there are measures. If you check the petroleum, when you buy fuel, okay, on the receipt, check is it 14 pesos or something that you pay. It's a fund that is supposed to be there to absorb shock when prices of things go up. And government has made in excess more than 200% of the revenues they estimated to get from that source. In excess, not less, in excess. And now we are having crisis. With that same sector you got the money from, you are unable to use that money to solve the problem.
So where's the money going to?
Where is the money going to? That's the question.
I thought you have answers.
It is either they are spending it on things that don't matter, or they've squandered it. Whichever way it is, the money is not there. That is the problem.
Or could it be that we're using it to fix some economic challenges?
Which of them? The IMF concluded that most of the problems we have today is because the things we spent on were not investments, but consumption. That is why when I started, I critiqued President Mahama's speech, that it should have involved some of those consumption expenditures we make that are unnecessary, including the nature and manner in which we implement free SHS, including the nature. I know teacher trainees and nursing trainees will not be happy with me, but we must tell ourselves the truth as young people, including nursing trainee allowance. He should have addressed that as well. Those expenditures must be investment expenditures. If you want to do import substitution, if you want to reduce your borrowing and all those things, you use the monies you borrow on investments, on projects that pay for themselves, on projects that are futuristically aligned. You don't use it to spend. You don't use it to chop. If you bring the economic situation to your home situation, it's like you don't have money. And when you borrow money from your friends, you don't use it to invest in a business that would be able to bring the money back, and you are able to pay your friends. And moving forward, you wouldn't need to borrow again. What you do is that you borrow the money, and then you use the money to chill. And after that, you go back and want more again. That is what our government is doing.
Let me go home to your homes, and if you want to join the conversation, I have just about 5 minutes to activate my phone lines. You at home, I know you want to join the conversation. Do call. The number will be placed on the screen very soon. Immediately you see the number, just call, and let's hear your opinion as well. Do you think that what the president said yesterday is definitely going to help fix the economy? Do you think that we need younger people to take over? Looking at our position is not any younger, but do you think it's a better option, Helen?
Okay, so tackling that from this perspective, considering the fact that in the just ended 2021 population and housing census, the youth is about 38.2% of the total population. What should we be thinking about? It's just fair that we have them duly represented in government. I mean, this one, we don't even have to think about it twice. And so I think that for 38.2% of our total population having the youth have something to do in solving our problems in this country. Even if they don't have any knowledge at all, they have something to do. Honestly, that's the truth. And some people have already taken up. Okay, so some people have already taken up the responsibility, even though conditions are not favorable. Some young people are there striving so hard to make things work, and they are not looking at the government. I have a group of young people called Code 57. These young people go into communities, they do things, marvelous things. You can check them out on social media. They do marvelous things that the government is not doing, giving them any funds or anything. They see it as a social responsibility as youth, you know, to bring some kind of social problems into perspective and try to solve it in their own small way. And so the youth are active. They know what to do to, you know, help curb our situation. They have the energy they need. They are even able to adjust to new trends.
At what age do you think we should curb the presidency?
Me or well, I think one of the things that young people, especially people my generation, have lost it on is that we don't demand for societal reforms. Yeah. Why should we be in a country and you tell us that before you are president you must be 40? Do you know what that does? The impact that makes on the whole leadership architecture is to push it further to older ages, because by 40 that is when the person starts thinking, okay, I need to nurture ambition to even go for the presidency.
Let me go on the phone line.
It's something that needs to change, and we need to work together to change it.
I'll ask you the age again.
Sure.
On the phone line I have Lucas from Asante Bekwai. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm fine, thank you. How are you too?
Fine, thank you, Lucas. Talk to us.
Yeah, I would like to say a big bravo to your panelists this morning. The youth have proven today to the elderly people, to the old people who think that the youth of this country do not have anything in their heads, and their heads are like coconuts, as one of our of our member of parliament, Katie Hammond, put it some time ago. They have shown that they have intelligence and they can even run this country better than what these old people are doing to us, this current situation. Now, let's come listened to the two speeches that you talked about this morning. And the verdict is clear. It is quite unanimous that the former president has better way of solving issues than the current one. The current president is only playing games, and all this pointing to us that the Russia-Ukraine war has caused us our problems, and also the coronavirus has caused us our problems. But that's not the situation. It's mismanagement. They have mismanaged our economy. They have used the money unwisely on unimportant projects like National Cathedral. So they should come back again and tell us a better plan that we need to hear.
All right, Lucas. Thank you so much for calling. Baba Lamin, good morning.
Good morning, sister.
Yes. Where are you calling us from?
I'm calling from Zoom.
All right, talk to us.
Okay. Oh, sister, we thank God that we are here as a youth, so I need to speak for my youth because I even wonder and I disagree with the president telling us, if you could remember 2016 when he was campaigning, he told us we anticipate so coming in. What they say, one CD, $1, one CD. Even at that time we are buying KK 1 CD. Now we are buying a ball of KK at 4 CD, 5 CD. Even a price of coffee, even up now. We the youth, we are in the since 2016. We completed school. We are not having any job. Uncompleted, ungraduate youth. We are in the street suffering. We don't have you. You are here. You need to motivate the youth to let us know that maybe in the future we are going to benefit for under your leadership. But for now, you are here telling us and we the youth, we are on the street. We are not so. We are suffering. We are not getting jobs. We are telling you it's the company. Now. Fuel of prices are going up, and fuel of transport are going up. What are you telling us? You are here displeasing the public, but we are here telling the president he should come back again because this kind of leadership we are not going to agree. Because if you listen and go and listen to what President Mahama said about Ghanaians, this is the kind of leadership we need. Because see the government, see the appointees, almost 120 appointees. What are we benefiting from them? We are not benefiting anything from them. So we are pleading to the government to go back and come back and tell us a sensible thought, because we the youth are not going to agree with him.
All right.
This situation what we are passing through, it's very hard. Our mothers are suffering in the market. Our fathers are suffering in the working system. Our brothers, whenever they go to work, they are not bringing anything in the house. So you are telling me you are not breaking you are here to break the eight than to I'm even further from this.
All right, Baba Lami, thank you so much for calling. Let's share your opinion. Let me go to Inzima. Hello, good morning, Paddy.
Good morning, madam.
How are you?
I'm doing very, very good.
Great, talk to us.
Right. Okay. My contribution this morning is about solutions. I saw this far way back 2003 when I was staying in Spinte. Within 24 hours, I used to see articulated bringing rice for more than 6 months continuously. And there I say, hey, what is going on? Does it mean all the rice that we consume in Ghana is coming from abroad? Why can't the government support this? We can also contribute what we think we can produce more in this country to change something like the pattern of our consumption to be even maize or anything that we can produce a lot. On this thing, I start proposals to the government somewhere September 13th or so. By then it was, Kojo Banredu or something, who was the finance minister, and they respond to that. But onwards, there was nothing like they would think about what I'm trying to say. To the solution, I think the whole thing is about we coming out with effective management, leadership in various institutions. Because government alone can never do anything, and we cannot depend on the youth as we are saying. The thing is, we need a support people with very good ideas. You plant the food, who buy the food? How much does he buy the food? We have, in terms of dollar, what is the cause of always dollar going high?
All right,
Right.
Paddy, let me ask you this. We keep complaining about, importing of rice and everything. Do you eat Ghana rice?
Again?
Do you eat Ghana rice?
Yes.
Is that all you eat? Hello? Paddy, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Is that all? You don't eat any foreign rice, only Ghana rice?
Oh, I eat anything they cook.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Can I go on?
Yes, please, continue.
I can hear you.
Okay, Paddy, thank you so much for calling and sharing your opinion with us this morning. We are grateful. Let me go to Tamale. Hello, good morning, Enoch.
Good morning, madam.
All right, okay, talk to us, Enoch.
Please, actually, we the youth, even Ghanaians as well, yesterday what we were expecting from the president is not what we heard from him yesterday. It demoralized a lot of the Ghanaians, most especially those who are into the business. President give us a short-term measures concerned about the rising of the inflation and the exchange rate. But the government was only interested of the IMF program and the free etiquette, which is not the best. You know that we've all been affected by the short-term effect of a short-term shock of economy, which is known as COVID-19 and the Russia and Ukraine war. The government, we expect the government to tell the citizens that he has accepted the blame, to ready to resign. Why? This government, during his campaign 2016, he made a statement that if you were the previous president and the $1 is equal to 2 cedi or 3 cedi to resign from the office. The question is today, how much is the $1 to a cedi? That's why me particular, I was speaking to the president yesterday. And secondly, he made a statement concerning free etiquette. Now, my brothers and sisters, when you go to some of the secondary schools, I read that it's true for the students. In which of the regime has this happened? And you are voting about free etiquette. How can your sister or your brother, your daughter, go and eat Gary and go and the person who has a piece and learn? We are not expecting this from this president. Today, when you look at the common oil to eat, to make a stew and eat, we can't buy. What is our problem? This government is not ready to help the country, and it's not ready today to listen to anybody. This will tell us that we, the youth, need to rise and fight against the political class. These politicians, they are not ready to help the youth. They are only fighting for their own stomach.
I'm hoping that when you say we should rise and fight, it's not a violent fight that you're talking about.
It's not a violent type.
Good.
We should make sure that whatever they will come and tell us, we shouldn't take them as a serious. We shouldn't take them as a serious.
So what are we supposed to do?
Yes. Whatever we have to tell them, we need to assess them before we bring them on power.
All right. Enoch, thank you so much for joining us this morning. We are very, very grateful. Back into the studio, Julius is here, Helen is here. On Zoom, we have Marvin and we have Frances. So let me finalize with Marvin and Frances so I can come back to the studio. Hello. Marvin? Hello, Marvin. Hello. Yes. Okay, before I talk to you, let me read a few comments from social media, okay? And this is what it is. Masube Abdul Rahim Balom says, interesting. Paulina Datsomo, I hope I get your names right. I honestly didn't hear anything positive yesterday. Suffering continues unabated, okay? Hassan Ibrahim says, the youth in this country must get serious. Ghana leaders should stop buying treasury bills and create important jobs and entrepreneurs in the country. Pensioners leading. Okay. Let me see. Paulina again says, okay, I didn't hear anything positive. Let me read more, a few more comments. Okay, Sir John Bososo says, President Akufo Addo yesterday portrayed he has indeed lost control of Ghana. How did his long speech reduce food inflation of 122%? How did it reduce fuel price? How did it reduce transport fares? How does it put food on our table? How does it give the youth jobs? Kudos to Mark Oliver Kevo, Eastern Regional Chairman, hopeful. Okay. All right, Marvin.
Yeah.
All right, we are talking about how to bring back the youth. From what Julius said in the past, it used to be the youth who were in power, and now it looks like there is an age limit for that. Even if you want to be a president, you have to be 40 and above. And I don't know your opinion on it, but with this regard, we do still have some young people in parliament as well, which you can join to help solve economic crisis. How many people or how many MPs do you think we should have in parliament as young people, or percentage that you think can help solve the problem?
For the percentage of young people which I feel should be in parliament, it should be about 60 to 70%. Because the young people, we are dynamic.
Yeah.
You see, you study things happen in the past, and someone is thinking of a leader. One of our leaders is, or most of our leaders are thinking about things they did years ago, how it worked for them, and they're trying to implement the same thing. But you should know that the economy is like a living being. It grows, it changes. And so you can't always be attacking things the same way you do. You have to be dynamic. And the youth we are full of fresh ideas. We are full of fresh ideas. There are so many things we can come up with. So I believe that a majority of the leaders should be young people.
All honestly. Right. Okay, now looking at the ministers that we have, which one do you think is performing worse and should be let go?
This one, it's not even a debate. It's the Minister of Finance. There are so many things you could have done. Why should you wait? And honestly, I was talking with a professor in economics, okay, and he told me that they had a meeting and they gave them solutions. That was somewhere around June. They gave them solutions, and they acted like they were listening and they were taking heed of everything they were saying. When budgets and things came out, they were totally ignored. It's about leadership. And like I said, you are using monetary policy. You can't base everything on monetary policy right now, because monetary policy even takes a long time before it affects target variables. And then people have lost confidence in the city. So why are you using interest rates to get people to buy more Ghanaian bonds?
Okay, Marvin, thank you so much for joining us this morning for this conversation. We are very, very grateful. Let me go to Frances. Hi, Frances.
Hi.
Which of the ministers should we let go?
Thank you. I think, like Marvin rightly said, the finance minister, for me, I will always go for the agri minister as well, because from the look of things, how food crisis is even shooting up, it's not something that is, it's not something that is enough to write home about or good to write home about. So for them, I'll consider the two.
All right, Frances, thank you so much for joining us this morning. Very grateful. Let me come to the studio. I have Helen and I have Julius. Your final submissions before you go, Helen.
Okay, so at this point, the youth have a lot to do. I mean, this is our future we are talking about here. In few years to come, when the current politicians are no longer there, we are the ones going to be paying for all these debts. We are the ones going to be suffering for all of that. And so we need to have a mind reform as youth now. We don't have to wait. At this point, think about what you can do as a person towards this nation building agenda. You don't have to be like, okay, so if the government doesn't provide the environment I need to thrive, then I need to sit back. No, that's not the mindset we should have as youth. As a person, the nation building thing, how you want your nation to be like. What steps are you doing? What steps are you taking towards that agenda? And one thing I want us to also look at is agribusiness. Julius has already said it. As youth, see, if we don't have food to eat, Ghana, we don't have food to eat, and so we should be thinking about farming to get ourselves something to eat. If not, very soon, farming, and you don't want that to happen.
Your worst performing minister?
I mean, this is everywhere. The finance minister has to go.
Okay. Let me come to Julius. Your final words, Julius.
Yeah, I think that the president should, even though he has not said it, do the following. Cuts down on the size of ministers. Cuts down on his expenditure. Apologize to Ghanaians for using $14,000 per hour to fly in private jets. If you calculate the cost, that's getting to $500 million. That would have solved part of our problems. He should apologize for that. He should announce the homegrown.
But the 50 cars is okay?
You said the 50, that should also stop.
You didn't mention
if he cuts on the ministers, it will automatically affect that. The what do you call it? He should announce the homegrown, solution that they are sending to IMF. I'm surprised IMF is the conversation, and up to now the president is here to say we have agreed on this and this and this. We are cutting down this and this expenditure to get a deal. He has not said it yesterday. He should tell us that. We want to hear it. The president should also tell the Bank of Ghana to stop printing monies for them, especially the 200 and 100 cedis notes. There are professors who believe that it is also part of the cost of the inflation. I mean, even beyond the 200 and 100 cedis notes, the moment you are printing more money when there's no real production, inflation will go high. He should stop it immediately. And finally, to my young people, especially those of you who identify with political parties, the best people to save this country is you. If your godfather sees you, your godfather in MPP or NDC sees you, telling him the truth in the face, that this country is going in the ditch and it must be saved and we must rescue it. So the unnecessary expenditure should stop. The government should tell us the truth. There will be fear because they will realize that even our own boys that we send around have begun talking to us and telling us that things are going bad. But if you go and then everything you know how to do every day is to wait for President Akufo Addo to say something or John Mahama to say something, then you praise it as though everything they say is good because you side with them. It's bad. So the youth of this country are the best people to now rescue the country.
Okay.
And finally, the president should change one thing. The 798 million they made from the, a price stabilization and recovery levy. It is in excess of what they projected. He should apply it and reduce the cost of petroleum products. It will affect all other things in the economy so that we can stop buying Gobe at 15 cedis. Okay. Thank you.
All right. Your worst performing minister?
My worst performing minister is honestly the agric minister.
Okay.
Because we can't have food inflation to the tune of 122%, and then you tell us that, Ghana is not having food shortage, so we are okay. You can't tell us that. Aside that, I have a feeling that the president should have to sack all other people, except probably energy minister, who has been doing well.
All right, Julius, thank you so much for this opinion. Let me go on Twitter. There were a lot of comments after the president delivered his speech. And this is coming from Daisy and Reed. All right, so I'm coming on the screen. This is in Sawon. Michael Scofield says Nana Addo in opposition, yet is he cancel a comedy as he came to power. Come see money, no fellow Ghanaians. Sikam Pedede. Showboy is now the spokesperson for money. Hey. Okay, Mr. Celebrity says, sincerely, fellow Ghanaians, Nana Addo should not have spoken at all. He is also doing politics on top of it when people are actually suffering. I bought Kinky for 5 Ghana cedis. First time in my life, and you are speaking plenty English. He didn't even mention Kenu Furiata, shaking my head. Dr. Ken Winter says Nana Addo hasn't taken responsibility of anything in this State of Nations address. Everything is someone's fault so far. Mr. President says, I can imagine the insults Nana Addo has received in every household that has watched his speech. Madman cries here in Ongivam. Latif says, Sikam Pedede, meaning the noise you people they make, they affect the economy. I agree with Nana Addo. Keep quiet and suffer. Nungwa, that's Dr. Berner, says, summary of what President Nana Addo said tonight. Yes, times are hard. 2, be patriotic and still pay your taxes. 3, support the government. 4, support speaking ill of the city. Stop speaking ill of the city. Sikam Pedede. 5, IMF will bail us out soon. 6, new promises. 7, government still cares for Amagana. Okay. Raphael Aram says 12 measures. Okay, so it looks like she responded to a tweet. I don't know if it's he or she. Okay, the tweet was from Kojo Ponkroma saying, look out for the 12 measures Nana Akufo Addo will announce shortly to help us resolve our economic challenges. Raphael replies, 12 measures? Nana Addo didn't read the speech you wrote for him. He read the ones with Sikam Pedede. All right. Mr. Celebrity says, sincerely, fellow Ghanaians, Nana Addo should not have spoken at all. He's also doing politics on top of it. Okay, I think I've already read this one. Highly Spiritual says, those who didn't listen to Nana Addo, this is the summary. Everybody's confused. I think that's what he's trying to say. All right, what's the next one? Kobe says, fellow Ghanaians, I come into your homes. Who even invited you? Nana Addo, I beg, how far with the hospitals you promised? Because it's been over a year. Or you say Russia-Ukraine war, or COVID-19, or Mahama and NDC, or dollar rate. Okay. Mr. President says, the speech I read for you guys, me, myself, I don't understand what I said. Sorry, fellow Ghanaians. Kojo Dako says, Nana Addo speaking French means there is surely no hope for this country, fellow Ghanaians. Ernest Ahimful says, Sikam Pedede, over to you, my fellow Ghanaians. John says, fellow Ghanaians, did Nana Addo actually say we are in this together? Bosu, you move with a convoy of over 50 V8 vehicles. Someone died because he was fighting with a mate over 2 Ghana City Trotro Fair. Please, you and us are worlds apart. Stop trying hard to join the hustle. Mr. Celebrity says, sincerely, fellow Ghanaians, okay, I think I've read this one already. Benjamin Kessler says, Nana Addo pa, you've been president for 6 years and you're telling us the structure of the economy needs to change. Like, yo, what have you been doing all these years? After 6 years in power, you've joined us to complain. Fellow Ghanaians, it is finished. Wafa Kojo, after listening to Nana Addo's fellow Ghanaian speech, this is what Google had to say. Is there hope for Ghanaians? Your search did not match any documents. Basically, there's none. I don't know if I've read this one already. Daisy said, dear Nana Addo, dear President Nana Addo, from your fellow Ghanaians, you believe your administration has been too good to Ghanaians. With that, may the effects of your management of the economy in the lives of the common Ghanaians visit your children and their descendants. Amen. Okay. Wow. Yes. This is a little bit harsh, though. What's next? Okay, I think that's it for what has been trending on Twitter, and this is all people have been saying. Thank you so much for being here in the studio with us, and to those who joined us via phone call and Zoom, we want to say a very big thank you for joining this particular conversation. We have a lot more coming your way, so don't tune out. I've been joined here by Julius Kwame Anthony, who is immediate past NUC's General Secretary, and also Helen Jabing. I don't know why I keep on saying Ellen, but it's actually Helen. Helen Jabing, who is a student nurse and also former secretary for nurses and midwifery students at the University of Ghana. Super grateful that you did make it. And next time I'll ask you my final question. Unfortunately, I don't have enough time, but I'll ask you my final question next time if we need a third force with regards to political party. Sure. But coming up is another conversation in business. Do stay.